Well, joining me now to take a deeper look at this ministerial list, two gentlemen. Wahab Owokoniro is the secretary of the PDP here in Lagos State, and Lanre Jaola is an international journalist. Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on the program. Let me start with you. You belong to the opposition, so let me get the opposition view to this ministerial list.
Well, thank you for inviting me, Mr. Moderator. As far as we are concerned, there has been so much expectation that has created these nominations. You know, from our own side, we thought General Buhari, with the kind of euphoria, the kind of change they talked about before he came into power, and with the way he has delayed in releasing the names, we felt that probably he was going to bring new breed of Nigerians from a different planet, who are not the existing Nigerians that we know. But after seeing the list now, we just see that it's the same old people that is trying to recirculate old wine in a new bottle.
But let's tell ourselves the truth. Where were you expecting him to get his ministers from? Of course, he has to get them from his political party. And that's the tradition anyway. Well,
as a matter of fact,
should he have jettisoned his party?
If I have to look at it from a political point of view, I will give him kudos, at least for having nominated some certain individuals who has contributed positively to his election, contrary to what they have been doing in the past, whereby they will go and bring technocrats who never contributed anything, who sat in their offices while the campaign was going on, and at the end of the day now, you now said, these are your ministers, who did not even know how you got there. I give him kudos for that. But the kind of expectation and the kind of thing himself have said, you know, you have raised the people up so much, and for you now to come back with the same old people, whom people have even accused of one thing or the other in terms of corruption that you are saying you are fighting against. If what he has said is what he has to live by, we have about 150 to 180 million Nigerians. He could go to different industries and bring brand new people who have never even participated in politics.
That's what I'm saying. Would that be proper?
It would not be proper. That was why I gave him a kudos. But I'm saying that he should have lowered the expectation and the euphoria of bringing new brand of people who are going to pass all kind of corruption tests and whatever. At the end of the day, even from what I gathered, I even learned that some of those people did not even pass the SS test, but they just have to send their names in to fill some certain.
So for you, there's nothing exciting about the list. Lanre, let me get your own position. There we have the names. Of course, you know, virtually all of them known, and there's no question at all. We can't deny the fact that some of these guys, for instance, some of them who have been governors in the past actually performed in their state.
Yeah, first of all, I would just like to say this. If you have to look at the ministerial appointments that has been given to the National Assembly, one has to look at from the deep point of view that this guy has to really sit down with his party people. The ministerial list shows that he's a party man, he's a proper party man. These are guys that have worked with him 4 months before the election, during the campaigns. They have always been with him, and he just believed that the party has to come supreme. That is why we have that list that he gave out. But the hype that came before the ministerial list was too high, and of course the waiting time was too much, and people expected much from this
So
list.
basically, if he was going to come up with this set of people, why did he have to wait for this long?
But I think
he could probably have appointed them at his inauguration, right?
Wait for it. I think wait for it with the kind of the vice president that I know he's got a joker coming up in the next list. I can assure you that, because that is what we show his economic team. That is what will show us whether this government is going to move forward or backward, and that is when people will really come out to say, look, we can't have this kind of people in the 21st century, and you believe that the country can move forward.
But to be honest, should the president have waited this long if he was going to appoint these people? For instance, we had always known Tunde Fashola, the former governor of Lagos State. We had known Rotimi Amechi. We had known all of these guys. So why did it take him such a long time? These are people, and that's what some people have argued, that he could have appointed on the day of his inauguration or a few days after, because they are known.
What I believe was he wanted to do it his own way. But when he appointed the chief of staff and all his other kitchen cabinet members, there was a lot of criticism. from a certain section of the country. So he had to sit back and watch. Look, if I don't do it the way it should be done, I'm going to have a lot of backlash from people, from the opposition. So he has to sit down, maybe take a second thought and just say, now, okay, let me do it the party way. Let me satisfy this A, B, C. And I will just send out the first list. Second list, then I can have my people. I think that's the way it's going to go.
Mr. Okoniro, let me ask you. No doubt at all. I mean, as I said, a number of people feel, look, he should have done this earlier than now, that he didn't have to wait for up to 4 months to come up with this list. But let's look at the list. Let's look at the list in its own merits. I mean, we can question the fact that some of these individuals on the list, they have, at least they have a track record of performance, so to speak.
Well, you cannot completely write throughout the whole list. There are some of them who has a lot of credibility. There's no doubt about that. There are still some of them that their credibility and integrity has been tainted. You know, if you start to look at them one by one, if you take the case of our former governor in Lagos State, everybody knows that his first time was fantastic. His second time, there's nothing much to write home about. Even the people within his party are pointing out to a lot of things he has done in terms of corruption, which some of us in the opposition party were never even knew. So if you have to make sure that vis-a-vis his performance that we thought he did during his first term, you're beginning to wonder that what kind of caliber of people or what kind of a caliber of person is this particular man? Where do we really put him? Do we put him in the realm of somebody who has really achieved? Or should we put him in the realm of somebody who is so corrupt when he's built a private, individual website with the sum of about 78 million or 178 million or thereabout, a private website? So you begin to ask questions that this man that we all thought was above board, you know, man of integrity, how could he ever done something like that? And I remember some few years ago, during the, I think around 2010 or thereabout,
yep,
there's this group called the Face of Lagos. There's so many allegations.
No, there surely would be allegations, but you know, he's not the only one on that list anyway. We still have people like Kayode Fayemi, you have people like Rotimi Amechi, you have some other individuals as well from other parts of the country, and it would appear for those of us here, we seem to be concentrating too much on people from this part of the world, the country.
We have to look at the list.
Well, let me finish. You are mentioning people like Rotimi Amechi, who are from even other side of the country. There is a panel of inquiry that has already investigated Rotimi Amechi. And some of the things I read in the papers, if they were true,
and that's the big thing. If
they were true,
that's the big thing. And I'm happy you just said it.
If they were true, I don't think somebody who has made anti-corruption one of his major campaign program should move near such a character.
I'm happy you use the word, you know, that conditional clause. If let me get your thoughts.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I would like to state categorically here is there is hardly any Nigerian politicians that is clean. Anybody holding a public office in this country have always got a baggage, whichever way you look at it. And if we have to wait for the saints, we might wait forever. But I mean, irrespective of that, I can say this list is fairly good or fairly okay. But we have to look at those facts that merits the appointment in terms of looking at those that we know that have cases with EFCC or ICPC, have cases to answer. I think they should just take a bow honorably and just say, look, I still have to go and get myself cleared from the agencies of government before I can take this appointment. That way, the anti-corruption attitude of this government will be respected.
Exactly.
But if not, then Buhari is going to be in for a lot of backlash from press and a lot of the civic society.
Even add to your point, here is a man who made anti-corruption is one of the major campaign focus. And it took him almost 4 months before you come up with that kind of the list he came up with. One would have thought that somebody who is already tainted, either positively or negatively in the eyes of the
public,
public,
whether proved or not,
whether proven or not, should not, in order to protect the integrity of his own administration and the image of his own administration, should have distanced himself for now, until those people are cleared. But for him to now send them after waited for 4 months, after you have let the whole Nigeria know that they have to pass through integrity test, they have to be extra clean, and you now brought all these people again, I'm beginning to wonder whether this administration, are they really sincere? Are they honest with Nigerians? Do they really want to? Do they even know what they are doing? Are they ready for governance?
But at that
These are some of the questions that's begging for answers.
Yeah, but at that instance, I think the argument will now be, I've not been indicted, so I'm still in the clear. Unless I'm indicted, then you can now say, okay, I'm not fit for that position. I think that's what people are waiting for.
What do you foresee in the Senate? I mean, the Senate will begin screening the nominees on Tuesday, and of course we've heard the senators, some senators actually come, even the Senate president has actually come out that this time that they're going to do a thorough job. We're not going to see that that syndrome of take a bow and go, the kind of respect they accord to former senators and former lawmakers.
I don't think we're going to have any big problem with the Senate, because if you look at the history of the Senate, up to the 8th Senate now, we have never seen any ministerial appointee that has been rejected by the Senate. We always do the shouting honor before the screening, but a lot of things will have gone through the back. A lot of political jobbing have been going through the back.
After all,
so
the president
will have gone through the back.
So
a lot of people have,
anyway.
Money will have exchanged hands and all that. I mean, this is normal thing in
lobbying.
What is lobbying? Lobbying is about exchanging money and getting you to do what I want, my bidding. I mean, that is what we Apple. But at the same time, we've had Senator Dino Milai coming out to say, look, it's a ministerial appointee must have at least 2 senators from a state, guaranteeing that we know him, is tested and trusted. I think is a good material. I mean, so that can cause a lot of problems.
I asked that question against the background of the perceived animosity now, so to speak, between the executive and the legislature, especially over the trial of the president of the Senate. Do you think these ministerial nominees are going to get any good reception at all in the Senate, especially when some senators think that the executive is flexing its muzzle over the legislature?
But if you recall, these people were part of a meeting with the president just about two days ago.
That's quite true.
And these are the efforts the president is trying to make up with the Senate and the National Assembly, the House of Reps and the Senate, just to make kind of parley with them. Look, this is the list. The government has been held on for 4 months. Please, let's have a soft landing so that we can run government effectively. But with the case of the CC, the
Code of Conduct Tribunal,
the Code of Conduct Tribunal hanging on the Senate president, if he was to be a man of honor, he would have resigned, but all steps aside by now.
Anyway, but I mean, let's. Look, that's not what we're talking about. That's an issue for another day. But let me just ask you: you are a core politician. You know the way these things are done, especially with appointments, getting appointments approved, and all of that. What do you foresee in the Senate on Tuesday?
Well, you see, there's so many intrigues that will come into play. And the way things are now, nobody is too sure of what might probably happen. But one thing I know for a fact is that most of those senators are beginning to look at 2019 or thereabouts.
Yeah, that's quite true.
And what is going to happen in 2019, they will start laying the foundation now. And that is going to come into play in the process of screening some of these nominees. Some of them that they know that he has a political ambition, or for whatever reason, they might likely want to, stop him.
So if a particular nominee is perceived to have an ambition, then some senators from his state may want to stop him.
Something like, you can't rule. This is politics.
Yeah, I understand.
You can't be totally objective or say you want to be nationalistic all the way through. Personal interest comes in, state interest comes in, groups interest comes in. Some of the things they were telling you that they are going to be upright, they were going to do the right thing, those are political rhetorics. The real politicking will come into play starting from Tuesday. Some nominees, I know for a fact that the senators, even more than 2, 3 senators from their own state, might make sure that that nomination does not pass through. A very good example would be Rivers State. I can tell you categorically that most of the senators from that state will want to make sure that...
No, but that would be quite understandable. I mean, if the senators in Rivers State would not want an Amechi, for instance, to pass, that would be quite understandable, because these senators belong to the PDP, Amechi belongs to the APC, and we all know that there's no law lost at all.
It doesn't follow.
Between
it doesn't follow.
both parties in that state.
It doesn't follow.
I'm just saying it's very key. We know that.
Okay, I'll give you another example.
Okay.
Kwara.
Yeah.
The chances of Lai Mohammed scaling through is also very slim.
And then
that's APC
and in the case
to APC.
No, but in the case of Kwara, we also know that yes, it is APC to APC, but that there are actually different camps, because you know, Bukola Saraki, the Senate president, is actually the godfather, so to speak, perceived so, the godfather of the senators representing Kwara in the Senate, whether or not we like it. And so they'll be looking at, you know, the Senate president's body language. Would he want to clear?
That is why I told you that there will be a lot of intrigues that will come into play. And when you are making a point with the PDP, that is why I brought that issue of Kwara, to let you know it's not necessarily the issue of party.
And that's what I'm trying to explain to you, that even when you talk about party, there are still divisions. But let me just ask you, I mean, you've just raised a very valid point. There's no question at all whether or not we like it. But do you think that could be one of the reasons why the chairman of the Ad hoc Committee on Information, Dino Melaya, has actually come out to say, look, each nominee must be supported by 2 senators? Because we never had that.
No. That has always been the standing rule in the Senate.
No, but not followed anyway.
Wait. No, it's followed. You see, most of the time, I will give you an example. The case of Musiliu Obanikoro, our minister from Lagos State here. The last screening they did for him, the APC or wherever they call themselves at that time,
quite understandable,
wanted to stop him. It was the Senate president who used his power to make sure that he scaled through. So that rule has always been there. In your own state, any state that 2 senators are against, if you don't have the support of the Senate president, it might be very difficult for you. That rule has always been there. And I want to correct an impression that you made earlier that the Senate has never rejected any of the nominees involved.
They have. Check the records.
No, I will give you an example. They have. This guy from Lagos State used to be the director of budget in the presidency.
Bode
Augusto, he was rejected. And few others like that. So it is not true that Senate has never rejected anybody. No, they have. But as I've said, a lot of lobbying do take place. And at the same time, a lot of intrigues.
Larry, let me ask you, let's face it, the APC is in the majority in the Senate. You know, of course, there are divisions within that APC. There's no question at all. Do you think that the PDP might decide to pose a problem during the screening exercise, using its its number in the Senate? I mean, even though you have the APC in the majority.
You wait for it. Tuesday is going to be a very exciting time for us Nigerians, and of course, there's going to be a melodrama playing up at the Alo Chambers. You know why? The reason is we've had a lot of APC who are PDP.
That's the problem.
And we have PDP.
And they appear to be PDP.
So now,
I mean, they appear to be APC, in name, but
whatever the mood of the Senate leadership is whatever way it will swing. Because if the Senate leader, has a disposition of, okay, let my people go, then we're going to have a very exciting
But don't you think we could also see some kind of crisis, especially when you consider the fact that quite a number of the senators are still loyal to, so to speak, to the party leadership. I'm talking about the APC. And then you have some who are loyal to Saraki, that we might have some kind of stalemate.
You saw what played up.
So what we saw during the leadership crisis
you saw what played up. Something is going to play up. Because according to sources, the presidency is not well disposed to us having an opposition party as a deputy Senate president.
Yep.
And of course, I mean, a lot of things will play up. This will determine whether Saraki is a party man or not a party man. So let's wait till Tuesday Then after that, we can have a review of it.
But the fact is that we don't need all of this. We need to get this sorted out once and for all because time is already gone. The economy is suffering nothing. There's no time on our hands.
I agree with you that there's no time on our hands, but I think we Nigerians, we need to learn a lesson from this last election. You see, during the last election, people are clamoring for change. And I remember in one of the programs I came here, I said the kind of change we are looking for is not the kind of change that we are going to have.
Well, we don't know yet.
Wait. We are beginning to see it. It shows that this party, this administration are not ready for governance. Look at how long it took them before they came up.
No,
wait. Let me finish.
You can't say that.
Let me finish.
Mm.
See how long it took them before they came up with the nominations, the ministerial list. Even they didn't even come up with it in full after 4 months.
Yeah, that's quite
They
true.
only brought 21. They still have about almost another 21. We are still expecting. That's one. No, plus 6 donor ones, making 42. That is one. Number two, if you look at what happened during the National Assembly leadership crisis, it shows that this party has not really done their homework. Most of the things they promised Nigerians, they have not even done anything. They promised average of giving each pupil at the primary school a food.
Come on, are you being fair to this party that has not even taken up yet?
After 4 months, they are not taking up. 100 days has gone, nothing to show for it. 1 year is going, there will not be nothing to show for it. And you say we are not fair.
Your party would have done things differently, no doubt.
No, exactly. Now you know better now. We expected them to hit the ground running, but they have not done anything so far.
Yeah, Larry.
Let's be frank with ourselves. We see the style of governance in this country over the past 16 years under the PDP. It's been a rot. There is a lot of rot in the system. We must not deceive ourselves. Whether APC or PDP, the state of the country as at the time Jonathan left was in a rot. And according to the president, he said the handover notes were given 4 days before the swearing in. So definitely he had to get some time for himself with the team to look at it, review it with all the various ministries. This thing takes time. It's not 1 day's job. So we have to give that to him. He has an agenda for the country. It's too early for us now to say this government is working or not working.
Too early after 4 months?
It's too early now. Let's have the team first. Let's have the ministerial list. Let them start working. Then we can now review before the April budget, new budget coming in for 2016.
The second list we expect to come out maybe next week or the week after. How important do you think that list would be?
That list will tell us what the economic policy of this government will be. And that is very key. Because if you look at the state of where we are now, petroleum has gone down. That's our biggest money. That's where we earn our money from. And of course, we have to look at the fact that we have to diversify the economy from mono economy to kind of agric and mineral resource, which we have in abundance. But we need technocrats, people who can manage it, people who can create revenue for this government. This coming list will determine whether Buhari is a serious leader or is just there to play to the gallery.
Yeah, but part of the reason why people are talking about this second list is just because you take a look at the first list, they're basically composed of politicians, even though we have some that are not politicians, quite a few of them. But, but the second list, people have said, look, it's very crucial. Those who drive the economy, you would expect to come from that list. You think the list is very crucial to determining, how this government is going to perform? That you take a look at that second list, you can actually tell where the government is headed.
Honestly, I think the second list.
Or you've just made up your mind from this first list.
I know. You will see now. Maybe after you release the second list, you will bring me back and we'll come and compare notes. I can tell you that the second list, Nigerians will even be more disappointed than the very first list. The very first list that you are even saying that it was the party, whatever. I read it and I heard from good authority that the party are not even happy with this list that he just released.
Well, we have a member of the party, Kayode Fayemi, denying that, saying the party was actually consulted and that they are happy.
No, not that they didn't consult, not that they were not consulted, but I learned from good authority that the party as a whole were not happy with that list because there are some certain individuals the party nominated, even from the ESCO, that were not included in that list. And that does not make them happy. Well, most of the leaders of the party. Well,
for me, whether the party is happy or not, the most important thing is whether Nigerians are happy and whether you are happy. But, overall, do you have confidence that this team will perform?
My prayer my prayer as a Nigerian is that they should do well. Because if they do well, it will affect every one of us positively. That is what I'm hoping for. But from the steps they have taken so far, I am not convinced they have taken the right step. That is my own personal opinion. You might be
Nigerian politics is all about interest. It's not about politics, the people.
Politics
and it's not meant to be
so.
I mean, we don't see governance on the streets. Look at the state of the road, look at the infrastructure, look at everything in Nigeria. We are still like we're in the 60s. And this is 21st century Nigeria.
Just hold on now, because I want us to take a lesson to Fayemi, you know, answering. A reporter actually asked that question about, you know, if the party leadership was actually consulted. Let's take a listen to that.
Nobody's saying they are not consulted.
I have just come from the party chairman. The national deputy chairman of the party is here, who is my own leader from my state. And to the best of my knowledge, the party was actually very thrilled by the president's list. It really demonstrated commitment by the president to the party. Tell me the name. Hadu Ogbe, Ogbonaya Ono, Rotimi Amechi, Babatunde Fashola. Tell me who is not a party man. I mean, virtually everybody on the list. Our members will not knock on the door before they walk in there. They know all of us.
So how about Tinubu?
I have spoken to him. He's my leader. He's very elated by the choices. He was very, very pleased by what happened. And I know that he's supporting those of us who are on the list.
So we can't be crying more than the bereaved here.
Well, what do you expect? What do you expect Fayemi to say?
No, but
somebody who is already on the list. What do you expect? Do you want him to now condemn the whole list and the whole process?
Okay.
So that he will be discrediting himself too? Come on.
No. I mean, he was actually responding
How come they should have gone to the chairman of the party and let the chairman of the party address the whole nation and read his countenance, whether he is really happy. And more so, I gave him a credit too. Yeah. I said, at least he appointed politicians. That was the first kudos I gave him. Because I know in the past, people always overemphasize all these technocrats.
And some of these politicians are technocrats.
Who are even these technocrats? We politicians too are technocrats. I work in the Federal Ministry of Finance for several years. We are in charge of the federal government investment in all companies and parastatals. We are regarded as an expert in federal government investment. Now that I joined a politician, I became a politician, people will now say he's a politician, he's not a technocrat. Whereas privatization and commercialization started from my office in the 80s. We are deemed to be experts in privatization and commercialization under the auspices of Alhaji Ali Arungugu, the former Deputy Accountant General of the Federation then. So when we are talking of technocrat, I begin to wonder, what is all this technocrat all about? When people will have work and labor and win election, you now go and bring somebody. All these technocrats they have been using over the years, has they really helped the economy? Has Nigerian lifestyle, our standard of living, has it really gotten better with all these technocrats they are talking about? The truth is no. They should look for those people who actually contributed to winning the election and give them the opportunity to serve.
And somehow they would be in the best position to implement the party's manifesto because they actually drafted.
Okay, because I mean, but I'll tell you one thing. We don't know their portfolios yet, which is a very wrong thing for any of
but that's the way it is.
It's always been like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very wrong. We should know whether the ministerial appointee is good enough for the job is supposed to do. I mean, maybe agriculture, petroleum, any of the ministerial appointments must be based on can he deliver, not because of he's a party man.
Let me put him on the spot. I want to put you on the spot.
Okay.
You've seen the list.
Yeah.
If you were asked to assign portfolios, who would you give what?
You see, when you are assigning...
No. I just go ahead and tell me.
Look, it's not an easy question that say, I will give this, I will give this, I will give that, I will give this. Most of those people, I might even know them by name and some of the things they did in recent time.
No, for
I might not even know their background in the past. Some of them must have been very good in some certain area, and the area we have only known them in recent time might not even be their area of expertise. I just give you an example now. A lot of people, when they are talking about me, they will say, Okono is a politician. None of them even remember that I've worked for several years in the Ministry of Finance. We are in charge of all the federal government investment, both home and abroad.
I understand. But
I've sat on so many boards.
For those, you know, if you were
if they ask somebody who just knew me the last 3 or 4 years, he will say, I put him in the Ministry of Local Government Affairs because he was once a local government chairman. Whereas I can do better in some other areas. That's the point. So you're asking me
and
that.
I'm asking you
I might
now,
not be in a better position.
No.
Because I don't have their resume. If I have their resume now, I can tell you.
You know some of these individuals. You used to be in the same party with some of these individuals,
yes.
whether or not we like it. So, you know, no matter how bad you think it is, just tell me, who would you assign what?
Look, like Babatunde Fashola now, even though he's a son, I will say put him in the Ministry of Works because I've seen some of the projects he did in Lagos.
Now you're talking.
And I'm happy.
Okay.
No, but I might not, he might even do better in some areas. Like fire me now, I might say because he has worked in the international whatever affairs, he has been a lecturer, maybe put him in education. I can say that. But that might not even be his best area to be.
But at least you've said something.
Just an idea, but we need to see their resume.
Let me state my view. My view is, in Nigeria, there's something that we do in this country, and it's very bad. Nigeria is the only country that I see that what is good is bad and what is bad is good. People will say we want juicy ministerial appointments. We want juicy portfolio. It shouldn't be like that. It should be about service.
And that's another thing, because some of these ministerial nominees, after getting cleared, will begin to lobby for portfolio.
It should be about service. And Buhari that we know is going to do 4 years and leave. Whatever legacy is going to leave within the space of, we don't know yet. But he has said maybe one time.
We don't know and
so
I don't think he said so.
Probably
that is what they always say.
Even someone who said so openly in the past.
4 years is just around the corner. We're almost gone. 3 more years more now. And of course, I'll be looking at maybe Christian Gige, else, like something like Fashola works because it's done well for Lagos. Is that works or FCT and Fayemi for foreign affairs? He will be a very good man to do foreign affairs. The likes of Amechi could go for Niger Delta because that is where he comes from and he can actually handle that area well because there's been a lot of rot in the NDDC. And even with the fact that we have a South person as the president, if you go to the South area, it's not developed. It's still at the state which was as at the time he became president. So there's a lot to be done. Like the lady from Ogun State, finance. Yes, she's been very good as a commissioner for finance.
Nobody's talking about this lady. Is it Amina Mohammed from Kaduna State, who is the current advisor to the UN Secretary General, the development expert?
She has a great accomplishment. She's been very good, but we don't know what position that she'll be posted.
You're not coming back to my point. We can't just be allotting portfolios.
No. I mean, we're just guessing. I mean, whether we like it or not, the president decides. But it's good. We just say our mind, I understand what you mean. I understand. But we just have to round up this discussion now. And I want to ask you something completely outside of this. I mean, you just said it. President Buhari has about, let's just say 3 years to go, whether or not you like it. It's taking him 4 months to put his cabinet in place. It will probably take him the whole of this year to actually settle down, and the actual, the actual period he has for governance, and that's the way it's been with presidents and governors in this country. The actual time you would have for governance would be, say, between just 2 years. Let's just put it that way, because the 3rd year you're thinking of the next election. Don't you think it's now time we began to consider extending the tenure for government, for some of these elected politicians, whether we like it or not? Because, 4 years is such a short time for a president, for instance, to make any... I'm just asking. No. Same thing for a governor, because, every 4 years you have elections, and we know that elections begin, elections planning and preparation, just as he said, most of the senators are now thinking of 2019, and we're in 2015. And it's going to get worse as we move closer, especially by 2017. So you don't think it's time to extend so that these people, elected officials, now have more time in office?
Well, I don't really think the tenure is the problem. I think the problem is the process of re-electing people. If we change our constitution we draft in such a manner that if anybody has to go for another election, maybe there should be a process within his party that will allow the person to emerge naturally, like something they said they are doing in South Africa. Whoever that is president now, he knows when he's going to leave, and he has a very good idea of who is probably going to come after him. either within their party or whatever. If there's lesser acrimony in terms of the process of succeeding ourselves, most of this problem we are working on, or that is most of these challenges we are facing today, will be lesser. If you look at the presidential system of government that we are practicing, it's been borrowed mainly from the United States.
That's quite true.
And this system has worked effectively for them. By the time they use the 4 years, you go for another election in the next 4 years. And if you are going to be a very good president, by the time you ended there to your first tenure, it will have become very clear. All the economic indices will have been showing positive indication that you have really turned the economy around. You have brought down the unemployment. You have reduced inflation. You have done so many. People have seen it,
anyway,
and it will become.
I understand.
And it will become easier for you to get reelected. Look at Obama. Obama happens to be a black man. People said Obama can never.
Unfortunately, we haven't got time. You're talking
can
about
never
the
get
United States.
reelected.
Let me just get a last word from you.
The last word. I mean, if you have to practice the model of the Western democracies, I think 4 years is good enough for you to prove yourself. We want to attain the. We want to get onto the leadership position. You must be prepared for years before getting to that position. So by the time you get there, you have a blueprint. But they don't prepare. That's so 4 years will be a check and balance on whoever party or person that is coming that look, only got 4 years. If I don't perform well, I'll be out of it.
Because I've heard people say, look, President Buhari had about 13 years to prepare.
Exactly, and that's why some of us are surprised.
When he got it, he had
up
to.
To now, he has not put on the
Nigerian system. There's always
a
problem.
Good one.
No, honestly,
it's not a good one.
Look, here's a man who have run 4 times. Then what did you? Why are you running? Why are you running in the first instance? Don't you have something you wanted to do before you started
imagine
running?
if you put someone there for 6 years, 6 years will be a rot, then we now have another 6 years of rot making 12.
Yeah, and that's the other side of the argument.
Will generation yet unborn wait for that?
That's the other side of the argument. Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on the program.
Thank you very much.
And thank you very much for your thoughts and contributions. Well, that's all we have time for on the program today. If you want to watch it again, all you just need to do is go to our website, tv360nigeria.com. You'll find the program and lots more there. You can also watch us on YouTube by subscribing to our YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/TV360 Nigeria. Just follow us on Google Plus at TV360 Nigeria, or you can just like us on Facebook. The address is facebook.com/TV360 Online. You can also follow us on Twitter. Our handle is at TV360 Online. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you again next week.